Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. Welcome to Snippet 51. Wow, we're on Snippet 51. So as always, we're using a piece of Pink Frog Smooth Card 300 GSM. It's up to you which card you like to use. Mine is 4x6 as always for the snippets. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin with stamp set It's ASA Officer 1007. I adore this background stamp and it just goes with so many of the florals, which is quite nice. So I'm going to use my Versamark ink. Now, if you've handled your card quite a lot, you know, say it's one of those pieces of card that's been in your drawer and you don't know how much it's been handled, then use an anti-static bag just to make sure that your embossing powders don't stick where you don't want them. And I already know that I haven't got my brown ink pad out. I'm just so good. Right, let me just ink that. So a really good inking, just like you would with your VersaFine Clair. This is a Versamark Watermark sticky ink pad. So it's my Versamark ink pad, nice and sticky. And I'm going to place that onto my piece of 4x6 Pink Frog card. And exactly the same as I would with the VersaFine Clair, I'm allowing that sticky ink to grab hold of the card, and I'm using it without an acrylic block because it doesn't matter if it's a little bit random, it's no problem at all. So I'm just applying even pressure all over the stamp. There we go. And then I'm going to use my copier paper, and then we'll just sprinkle that over with some white embossing powder. And you can see it's just such a wonderful background. Now I have got one that I've actually heated and melted the embossing powder because we don't have much time with the snippets. So I have already, can't speak, melted one, and you can see that's nice and glossy. So I'm going to use a couple of colours. Where's my, I never get, there's always one ink pad I don't actually get out, and then I waste the time getting an ink pad out. I do it every single time. I want a touch of vintage photo. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some direct to paper. So we'll start with our lightest colour first, which is the Twisted Citron, and I'm just going to do direct to paper. Now don't think about it too much or else you get a little bit too regimented. So then I'm going to use a little bit of mowed lawn, and I'm not sort of thinking about it too much. Now, if you're doing your snippet and you're taking your time, this is peacock feathers. You can mop up the ink that's on the non-stick craft sheet. So don't waste that ink, mop it up on another piece of card, just so that you've got that. So just make sure that you pick that up on a piece of card because you can create another background, which is ideal. So I've then got my background, which is just direct to paper. And what I'm going to do is just take my kitchen roll and just add a little bit of water. I'll then just wipe across my card, and you can see there's plenty of ink that comes off. So just wipe across your card and then move to a clean piece of kitchen roll because you don't want to place that ink back on again. So just move to a clean piece of kitchen roll and then sort of give that a little bit of a buff. There we go, and it just gives us a beautiful background. What I've done then is I've cut a circle out of Pink Frog card, 2¼ inches. You can just see the circle here. I've just cut this circle out of white card. And what I've done then is I've taken my ephemera, set your timer, #37 and #26 I might be using. So I'll add my affiliate link to the video. So just move this out of the way. So what I've done is I've added those clocks randomly to the circular piece. And what I'll do is I'll just turn it over and then go round the back and just cut the circle. Just add. I adore clocks. It's just something about them. There we go. Let's cut those out. So now you can see the circle that I cut out. So I cut this circle out of white card and then I laid the clocks on the circle, which I just adore. I love doing things like this because then when you cut it out, if you lay them, you've got bits of clock. Just makes me happy. So what I'm going to do is go back to this and I'm going to add some of my vintage photo. So I'm going to add a little bit of vintage photo just to vintage this up a little bit and just to coordinate with my clocks a little bit. So let's wipe that up. Again, you wouldn't waste that ink. You would mop that up with another piece of card. So I'm then going to use my kitchen roll, just add a little bit of water and just remove the ink just from little bits of the embossed area. But what you can see is it sticks to where the embossing isn't. So it's just wonderful. Just vintages that up a little bit. So my clocks will then go here like so. And then I've stamped this floral here, which is a hellebore from stamp set 1063, and I'm using this floral here that I've stamped in black Nocturne ink, and I've cut it out and we're going to colour that. So let's just make sure my brush is clean. I think it's just had a little bit of shading versus Inktense pencils. These are my Inktense pencils, and this is Mint Leaf 1240 and Apple Green 1400. So I'm going to use the apple green and just scribble my apple green. Now, what I adore about the Inktense pencils is they make you look good, even if, like me, you're not a colourist. They work beautifully. So I'm just adding a little bit of that shading there. I'll add a little bit to the bottom of the floral. And you can see, I've only got so many minutes to show you the snippet, but it's lovely to show you just how good the Inktense pencils are, because they just work beautifully. But as always, the card you use is very important. I'm then going to use Mint Leaf just to add a little bit of the sort of different shade of green. Now, it's important which card you use, mainly because if your card doesn't allow you to add moisture and blend those colours, well, then it's not going to work too well. Now, you take a little bit more time. You're not timed, you can just take your time. So I'm just adding a little bit of the colour just to the edges of the petal. So what I'm going to do is, I've always got a piece of kitchen roll here. I'm going to pick up the water and take off the excess onto my kitchen roll. Less water is better. If you drowned it too much, well, you've got nowhere to go. You're flooding your card too quickly. So you want to use less water is better, but it's wonderful because the colour just pops. So pick up a little bit of water, take off the excess and come in with sort of an almost dry brush. Don't sort of add too much water, and you can come in and just blend the bottom of the floral out. So this is just sort of a quick colouring. Now, if you love a subtle look, then you can leave it nice and subtle if that's the look that you like to go for. I like to add a little bit more dimension, but that's me. So what I do is I take my pencil. Now I need you to be careful. So take off the excess water, and I'm going to pick up a little bit more pigment from the brush. Never, ever, ever go to the brush, the pencil even, with a soaking wet water brush. You will just damage your pencils. But I like to pick up a little bit more of the rich pigment from the pencil. So pick up the water, take off the excess, and then I can just pick up a little bit more of that vibrancy in that pigment. So I can just pick that up like so. And I want you to just take your time with your colouring. You know, you don't have to be in too much of a rush, but do not ever, ever soak your floral. I will add a little bit more colour to that and a bit more vibrancy later. So what I'm going to do then is just take my stamp set, and I'll just take the hellebore text. So I'll just take that hellebore text, and I'm going to stamp that onto a piece of white card with my black ink. So remember, never, ever, ever soak your Inktense pencils. So just take the hellebore text just to give me a pop of white. Like so. Let's move that out of the way. Let's just cut this down a little bit more. We'll bring in our piece like so. And of course your adhesive won't work. And it's lovely to sort of mix up your stamps as well, just so that it just shows just how they all work together. Now, if I wanted to, I could take one of the whiter clocks, and let's take the floral, which I can't pick up, add the floral, one of the whiter clocks. I don't think I need that, just add that there. So don't forget, you can't add too much dimension to your, what do you call them, snippets. You can't add too much dimension to your snippets. You just want to keep them so there's not too much bulkiness to them. So we'll just add the hellebore there, like so. Now I would go in and definitely colour a little bit more. So I'm just going to add some splatters. Make sure that you don't hit your sentiment, and make sure you turn your card. And then all you need to do is add, when this is dry, you need to add a little bit of shading. Once your Posca pen is dry, take your Inktense pencil and go around the edge just of the clock and just add a little bit of shading. I've got seconds left, but just add a little bit of shading just around here. And that is your snippet done. Hope you enjoyed that. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon.